Now, it was, of course, announced on a tweet, the most hotly anticipated flotation of the year. The social networking site Twitter is going public, although details of its share offering are being kept strictly private. Estimates suggest the company could be worth as much as £10 billion, but it's still unclear how far it can become profitable without destroying the free spirit that's made it so popular. Our business correspondent, Siobhan Kennedy, has this.
It's one of the world's most recognised logos. Everyone relies on Twitter, from presidents and popes to celebrities and, well, you and me. But now Twitter has decided it's time to feather its own nest. The global social networking giant has announced, with a tweet of course, plans to go public by listing shares on the New York Stock Exchange. It's been the source of speculation for months, then last night...
We've confidentially submitted an S-1 to the SEC for a planned IPO.
That's techno-speak for the legal form Twitter has filed with US regulators to tell them its plans to go public. Though unusually, Twitter, the supposed home of open communications, filed confidentially, taking advantage of a US law that allows it to keep all other details, like sales and profits, secret. It's been a busy year. Twitter has launched a new interface to make it more appealing to a mass market. Predictions are the company will make sales of nearly $600 million for 2013, and Twitter could be valued as high as $15 billion. Not bad for a 7-year-old startup. But then Twitter is hardly a startup. From its inception in 2006, it now has 240 million users worldwide and has galvanized social interaction and real-time news and views like no other. As the last big social networking site still privately owned, it was only a matter of time before Twitter went public. Some users will inevitably be worried that listing on a stock exchange will damage the very essence of Twitter, that going all corporate will destroy its entrepreneurial spirit. It's also not clear how Twitter will grow. Right now, it relies on advertising revenue, but it will need to diversify its business to increase sales.
Twitter has grown very quickly over the last few years, but the real question is, is it going to make a leap from the kind of very popular but still relatively niche product to the kind of mass market audience that the likes of Google and Facebook have now have? So, and it's not really clear that it's going to do that.
Twitter's already going after Google and Facebook with mobile advertising, as well as plans to drive more e-commerce through the site and add video too. But one thing is clear. The public offering will be a boon for Twitter founders Jack Dorsey, Evan Williams and Biz Stone, as well as the investors who've backed the company so far, and the banks, of course. Twitter could be keeping stum on the details to avoid all the hype that tripped up Facebook's stock market debut last year. Its shares have only just begun to trade above the $38 they started at. By contrast, Twitter will want its shares to get off to a flying start.
Siobhan Kennedy, we're joined now by Jessica Riches, who became the Twitter voice for student occupations during the protests over tuition fees, and the internet entrepreneur who founded lastminute.com, Brent Hoberman. I think we've got a bit of footage of you, Jessica, in full flight as a protester, and it was sort of reasonably early days of discovering the power of Twitter. I think that... There she is. Well, anyway, I can see there's a bit of tweeting going on. All right, well, let me ask you, I mean, are you worried that, corporate life is going to, in some way, damage Twitter?
I think that Twitter's made such a good name for itself on giving people a platform to speak about anything, be it politics or your personal opinion. And I don't think they want to ruin that by making it seem overcome by corporate voices, even if they are now floating on the stock market.
How do you read this flotation, Brent Hoberman?
Certainly, although they're run by a comedian, they're going to have to get more serious. And obviously, but they're already on that path. So their revenues have gone dramatically. A few years ago, people saying how they were a laughingstock. People say they can never make money. Now people are saying maybe it's $1 billion of revenue next year. So they're getting good at mobile advertising. And I think what it means is they're going to have to do more. They're going to have to find more revenue streams. But they're going to have to make it, as Jessica says, they're going to have to make it useful. The ads are going to be useful, and they can't put their audience off. But they won't do that. Business is such that, good advertising and stuff are things that people want.
But nobody's on Twitter really for the advertising, are they? And isn't that something which will, in some way, damage the freedom which knocks around on it?
I think everywhere I go now, I've got adverts being catapulted at me, and I think the way that Twitter's working through it is they're going to make them at least useful adverts to me, and I think that that's something to be proud of.
I mean, the beauty of Twitter is in a sense that you can kind of filter out anybody you don't want. Would that still be effective in a corporate world?
Yeah, I don't think they'll let you filter out ads totally, but I think they will make them more and more tailored. I mean, there always were arguments that maybe you could pay to have no ads, but I don't think people want that. I think that if the ads are targeted to you and personalized, in the end, sometimes people do want ads. If you're offering me a deal, and it's actually something that interests me, and I save 30%, I'd like it. So earlier it was talked about that Twitter will get more into e-commerce, and I could see that happening too.
Jessica, is Twitter still the first tool of rebellion?
I don't know if I can speak for everyone that wants to rebel, but I think it definitely gives you a platform to express your view, and I think that it's the chosen network for that because of the public nature of it. I would rather express my content or discontent at something on Twitter to people where people can potentially pick that up even if they don't know who I am, to on Facebook where it's just my friends that are just going to see me ranting.
Thus, it's going to be, when in sort of public hands, it's going to be a strange marriage between what often is rebellion or cheekiness or quirkiness or whatever, and corporate interest to push something relatively straight.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, running a public company is not fun. Mark Zuckerberg saw it at the early days of Facebook, but he said yesterday, don't be put off about taking this company. He said to Twitter, don't be put off, take the company public. It really helped us focus. So he gave some interesting advice to Twitter yesterday. Actually said, for us, it really helped them focus and drill down on what really mattered and what really counted.
How do you read it? Do you see this as basically, hell, they've got the thing's worth so much money, let's sell it, let's make a bit of money, a lot of money, 10 billion or something? Or do you see it as somebody saying, no, actually, if we're going to really make this work, we need more money and we need to do it by raising it on the stock market?
Well, they've given us a really useful tool through Twitter, so I don't begrudge them the fact that they want to take it the next level as a business decision, and that hopefully will impact the user's experience. If people have a problem with Twitter, I think Twitter are quite good at listening and taking into account the problem, the problem with abuse that people had. They thought, okay, well, let's put in an abuse button then. It wasn't like they completely ignored the users. It's changed so little since it first came into play, however many years ago. So I think that they're not going to just stop listening to the users who've made it what it is now.
Will you still trust it?
I still trust Twitter at the moment. I've got my fingers crossed that this is going to work out for everyone. I think that they've got the users' interests at heart.
But a privatized Twitter, I mean, a floated Twitter will be just as trustworthy as the slightly anarchic beast it's been till now.
They would lose the users if they didn't keep the free spirit, I think.
You agree, I think, too much.
Too much, I agree. I mean, I think Twitter, I mean, the interesting about them going public is they're actually relatively small, 250 million users compared to companies like Facebook and others and their Chinese equivalents. So I think this is going to enable them to get a lot bigger. Yes, they'll be a bit more corporate, but I don't think it'll stop them from, as a media platform and as a global communications platform, they're going to be more and more entwined into our daily lives.
Brent Hoberman and Jessica Riches, thank you both very much indeed. Kathy?
Thanks, John.
Oh, and for more analysis on the channel, I'm not Kathy, I'm just sort of, I said she could come in there, but I'm actually going to tell you that if you want more analysis facing a publicly listed Twitter, you can go straight to our website. That's channel4.com/news and follow the link. And now it really is Kathy. Kathy.
Thanks, John.